Thank you very much, Mr. President, members of the Senate. All of us have heard this bill through the years. With the exception, this bill is not for all motorcycle drivers or passengers. It's for those under the age of 18 who are on a motorcycle and their passengers who must declare that the motorcycle helmet must be properly fastened under the person's chin with a chin strap, and I'm willing to answer any questions.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, if you intend to ask a question, I expect you to be ready. I told you earlier about our paper. Senator Forby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is USA, and we do have a freedom. We do have a choice, don't we? How about it? You know, you're talking about seat belts and kids. I understand that. Everybody has seen car accidents where police chase cars, run 100 mile an hour, 80, the windshield blows out, and the guy rolls out on the ground. How many of them have you seen killed? We've seen it on TV all the time. And you know what? If the car runs over them or lands on top of them, they can have 10 helmets on. It's not going to help them. You know, another thing we have here, I'm going back to what I said, what about motorboats? How about a young kid riding a motorboat in a back end, hitting something head on? What did he do? You think it's going to save his life? No. And what, you know, another deal. What about horse riding? What about kids riding horse riding in fairs and stuff? Should they wear a helmet? What would be the difference there? And, you know, riding, you know, there's a lot of stuff. Snowmobiles. What about our freedom? We always want a choice. And you know what? Since you don't have no kids, it's hard for me to say this to you. How can I tell you what to do with your kids? I don't want you coming telling me what I want to do with my kids. If they're under 18 years old, I want to raise them. I want to raise them. I don't want anybody in this audience to tell me how to raise my kids. If I want them to wear a helmet, I'm responsible for it. That's why I think this is not good today. I just asked for a no vote.
Senator Severson.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's hard to follow that. I'll just say mainly ditto to what was said, but the one other issue which has been raised many times, especially with new drivers, is the importance of defensive driving. We all know from testimony that for motorcyclists, more accidents are avoided and lives are saved by defensive driving of motorcyclists, where they can see and hear what's happening. When you put these helmets on, you take away their vision, you take away their ability to hear, and their ability to avoid many of these accidents. And so for all the reasons that were mentioned from Senator Forby, as well as the concern about the ability to do defensive driving, I would urge that we defeat this legislation.
Thank you, Senator. Appreciate you being succinct. Senator Ryder.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the sponsor yield, please?
The sponsor indicates he will yield for a few questions. Senator Ryder.
Senator Trotter, what are we aim here to enact policies that are fact-based, that are driven by statistical studies in some cases. What is the statistical study or the facts that you're relying upon to make the judgment that your bill should become law?
Senator Trotter.
There are many facts. The fact is that here in the state of Illinois alone, out of the 145 people under the age of 19 who were injured on motorcycles, motorcycle accidents, were killed. We know, in fact, that it's going to cost us over the lifetime of an individual $4.2 million for traumatic brain injury. So it's not just the death, it's the care that we have to give to those individuals who harm themselves. We estimate that the medical and non-medical costs, which are home modification, vocational rehabilitation, health insurance, per traumatic brain injury person is $150,000 for one individual over their lifetime. We also know for a fact that those individuals that have been supported by employment for helping the TBI, which is traumatic brain injury folks, return to work at the cost of $10,000
$1,000 in the first year of service for us retrofitting where they work. When you talk about defensive driving, that's the art of motorcycle driving, is defense. And as I've said repeatedly, these are not things done on purpose. They don't purposely run into trees, don't purposely run into cars in front of them. They're called accidents. And those accidents that cannot be avoided, the chances of having a quality of life is enhanced if they're wearing a helmet. Senator Ryder.
Thank you, Senator Trotter. One subject area I want to ask you about is how much does an adequately safe helmet cost, and what would you propose to do for those who may not be able to bear that burden?
Senator Trotter. It's like anything else. If you can't afford the habit, if you can't afford the car, then you shouldn't be into that form of enjoying yourself. You know, if you can't afford the Corvette, you don't buy the Corvette. This is part of the uniform, part of the piece of saying that you have to have good brakes on your motorcycle. You have to make sure the clutch is working. You have to ensure that your windshield is clean. A helmet is part of the gear that you wear when you own a motorcycle, and it should be, because it saves your life and it saves the taxpayers dollars who have to pay for your continued care. Senator Ryder, to the bill, sir, please.
Last question, if I might, Mr. President. Mr. President?
Certainly.
Thank you. Senator Trotter, well, the theme of personal responsibility, fiscal responsibility, I love that theme coming out of you, Senator Trotter, and I hope we get to hear that more this year. Last question. The Brain Injury Association has released a study that says that 6% of brain injuries occur from motorcycles, whereas 13% of brain injuries occur to pedestrians. So the question I have for you is, when will the pedestrian helmet bill be before the Illinois Senate? Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Trotter, to close. We've heard all the arguments. One last year and the year before that and the year before that, it was all that we can't tell adults what to do. Many in this room said, you know, if we do it for the children, those individuals who are out there who are more inclined to drive recklessly, do it for them, fine. And we're not even just talking about the drivers of the bikes, we're talking about the passengers, who is the first individual thrown off your bike. So your responsibility as an adult, then I can do what I want with my kid, yes, if you're not being neglectful, if you're not getting ready to instill upon them some type of abuse, which an accident is of sorts, then we shouldn't do anything. But we wouldn't have the Department of Children and Family Services if every parent out here was responsible, if every parent really was worried about the well-being of their child. This is for those individuals that do not, for those individuals who do not have concern about our taxpayer burden that we have to pay to take care of their child for their one moment for lack of insight and lack of trust. So I do hope we get an aye vote on this Children's Safety Act. The question is, shall Senate Bill 2535 pass? All those in favor will vote aye, opposed will vote nay, and the voting is open. Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Take the record. On that question, there are 19 voting aye, 32 voting nay, and 6 voting present. Senate Bill 2535, having not received the required constitutional majority, unfortunately, my dear friend, is declared failed. Senator Trotter. Just for the record, I got more votes this year than I did last year, and that's 5 more votes than Terry Link got on his bill. So